Moderation is nice, but
I wish I like beer, but I don't.
Yeah, I don't yet. So I figured I'd wait till
Scotch
after I
and
was done
ginger
talking.
ale for me.
But I have a hard enough time talking, so I'm not going to drink while I'm doing this. So I tried doing a really cool PowerPoint. I got a brand new little GoPro type camera, so I apologize, but the filming is my first time out with that camera. So bear with me here. The PowerPoint didn't work, so I'm just sharing videos and I'll narrate over top of them. Otherwise, I was going to be drinking while this was happening. So I'm not going to lie, that's what I was looking forward to. Just pushing the button and sitting back. But as it is, it's going to be more interactive. So this is just the stuff I go through every spring to get ready for paddling. Keeping our boats clean, getting the dust off, getting cobwebs out, and any creatures that might have climbed into it. I keep a cover on my cockpit all winter long, but every year, regardless, there tends to be a little spider or two that made a web inside of it. So, let's see. The first one is I have what we need to get started. So, share some screenage here. There we go. All right. So what we have is some Dawn dish detergent, a couple Phillips head screwdrivers because my boat has Phillips head screws in it, a couple sponges, a roll of paper towels. I'm probably going to pick up the screwdrivers in a minute. I can't remember what I did here. Dawn dish detergent because it is biodegradable. You don't want to use a harsh chemical on your boat when you're washing it off. Any residue is going to go out with you into the water and wash off into the water. So you can use a car wash soap if you really want to, but make sure you get it all the way off. So that little bottle I'm shaking there is actually my UV protectant. I broke my bottle, so I put it into a little spray bottle, what was left of it. And I have caulk because for those of us with bulkheads and hatches, those bulkheads seem to always split at the bottom and need to be sealed up. So I happened to grab some Flex Shot. It actually works pretty well. I know there's a commercial, they can make a boat out of it. Believe it or not, it does work. So I started using that. It's cheap. Yeah. So
what was it called?
The caulk was Flex Shot. You ever see the commercial for Flex Steel where he makes a boat out of a screen door?
Yeah.
It's kind of embarrassing that I bought it, but I actually did.
Is there any prep work?
Curious.
Any prep work, Evan?
Yes, actually.
Before you use it?
Just make sure your area is clean. Well, I'll go over that.
Okay.
I might even have a video of it because I did have to fix one of my bulkheads. And if not, I can actually upload one. So with that, let's see. I did talk about screwdrivers. Just for my boat, you'll notice it has a lot of deck lines. They're all have placeholders in there that are screwed in. I can't tell you how many screws I've replaced because I did not check them. You got to make sure that they're tight because they work their way out. It's vibrations from getting to and from the lake, bouncing it up and down, when you're taking it off your car. That does happen. So next, you're going to see me washing it, the boat off. So really, I just mixed up some dish detergent in a bucket and I just slather it on there. Work your way into the cracks. That spot there is where I always get a spider web in it. Like I said, they find their way into the smallest spots. And if you feel, I don't know how you guys feel about spiders. Not a fan when I'm paddling because they kind of climb up and say hi. But really just make sure you get all over the boat. You want to get in every crevice, get under the lines, get it all the dust and dirt off of there. This isn't just for spring. You could do this almost every time you paddle. Really, anytime you change waterways, you should wash your boat off. If you're switching from the Lehigh to the Schuylkill, it's not that big of a deal because they both end up in the Delaware. However, if you paddle the Brandywine and then you paddle the Schuylkill, they're different waterways. One goes to Chesapeake Bay, the other goes to the Delaware River. So really, we should be more mindful of cross contaminations. Some little mollusks can get on your boat. There are several states that have rules against not quarantining your boat before you paddle. That's anybody who's ever gone to Green Lane knows they'll make you sit for 11 days before they let you put your boat on there. So it's not worth really the time it takes to do that. That's the end of this one. That's the top. The next one, we're going to flip it over and do the bottom of it. Again, same thing with the bottom. When I'm washing the bottom of the boat, I'm also checking for scratches, dings, thin spots in the hull. It's a great time to feel your way around it. Check for them. Anything that may need to be repaired. Repairing isn't easy, but it can be done even by the most novice of paddlers. If you have extra plastic, which you can get from your boat manufacturer, you can get from a friend with an old boat, and kind of scrape off some. It's just simply melting plastic back into the fills. I could actually do a thing on that if you guys want to see it. This is just rinsing off. Really, it's like your car. Make sure all the soap is off your boat. Rinse it really well. I start from bottom to top. That way the water runs away. I can speed this up a little bit. I like the POV with the hose there. I was just having fun. Like I said, it's a new camera, so I was enjoying myself. It's waterproof. I think we're going to see it out on the water at some point, or in the water. Don't be afraid to get the water in the cockpit. That needs to be cleaned as well. But really, just making sure the soap's off of it. After this, so after you get everything rinsed off, there's a dry. You got to dry it, and that is. I use paper towels. I do recycle them, but you can use a regular towel. Before you put UV protectant on, you want your boat really dry. So be thorough about it. You can give it time if you really don't want to use paper towels or a towel. Let it sit out in the sun for a little bit. Make sure it's dry. There should be no water on your boat when you put UV protectant on. It will kind of negate the whole process. It needs a dry surface before it. Shit, I didn't have that shared. Sorry. Okay. Yeah, so drying it off, just be thorough. You really can't put the UV protectant on when it's wet. This stuff does kind of repel water, so when there's already water in the boat, it just kind of wipes away from that. And that's all there is for that. And then we actually have the UV protectant. All right, so I have mine in a spray bottle. Most of them come in a spray bottle now. This one happened not to. So what I did was poured it in there when it broke, and now I can actually spray it right on the boat. Use one of the little sponges and just simply go over the entire area. Front to back, back to front. I start on the bottom, and then I will flip it over, and I'll work into the top. It's easy enough to see when you get the whole boat because it goes from a dull finish to a bright shiny finish. So if you kind of like get down on your knees and hold on. I just realized that wasn't sharing. I am apologize here. It's not going as quick as I thought it would. All right. Yeah, so I had it. I did have it narrated live, but the volume was so bad. So yeah, just you spray it on the sponge or you spray it on the boat. Make sure you just soak down the entire boat. You're gonna make the surface shiny, and again, it dries pretty fast. If you get it on your hands, it's not a big deal. It is biodegradable. It's perfectly safe for waterways. It's made for kayaks. The brand I was using, I believe now is, I think now it's called Gearade. I believe Jeff just told me that. But there's
Yeah,
several
it's
brands.
Gearade UV protection. We can talk about some of the products later on if you want.
Yeah. So it's fine for your hands. It feels like Armor All when it's on your fingers, and it smells the same too, similar to it. But just simply look down, make sure that the boat is shiny all the way across, that we've gotten all the surfaces, and I've flipped it over, and I'll apply it to the top. You really do want it on everything though. If you store your boat outside, you want a lot on the bottom. When you're paddling, it's just as important to have it on the top side as well. Think about how much time it sits in the sun. This does help a lot. I mean, if you're going to extend the lifetime of your boat and protect it from dry rot and damage.
And this is probably the most important step. It's not just about protecting from UV. It also has plasticizer in it to help keep plastic soft.
So I'm a bit thorough on it. I do get every surface, and I'll go back and put a second coat on some once in a while just because I'm worried about it. Again, I do this probably about twice a season. I don't know if I should do it more. Jeff can kind of tell us if that's not enough.
I'm usually about 2 to 3 times each year or each season.
That's what I thought. So
Do you recommend a certain type to get?
We can talk about actual specific
Yeah.
products later on, but yeah, I've got some choices, and we'll talk about those
Okay.
later on.
yeah, I have about 4 brands that seem to be about similar. And I mean, I don't know if there's a better one or a worse one. So the next thing we're going to talk about is after you're UV protected, you want to kind of go over your equipment. You want to go over your boat. I already talked about, when you're washing the bottom to check for scratches, cracks, any damage that might be, endanger your life of your boat or you. So this one, I have a lot of deck lines. Some of them are bungee, some of them are the high visibility. You want to go through bungees, check them, check for dry rot, make sure they're not stretched out, fraying, ripped. Same with your deck lines. You want to make sure the attachment points are tight, fit well. Pull on your handles. That spot right there, that's a great spot where if you have that rope slides through back and forth through that all the time as you're lifting and carrying. It can wear down the plastic. The worst thing that can happen with that is you're halfway through your portage and that thing breaks. Anybody who's had that happen before will tell you it's just a horrible feeling, and then you have to awkwardly carry your boat for the rest of the way. So, check your screws, make sure they're tight, make sure there's nothing in there.
I'm gonna interrupt for a minute. It's not just about the deck
Yeah.
lines too. Anything you use to tie to those lines, like if you have a thing that holds your water bottle on, you don't want to end up at the bottom of the bay.
Yeah, mine's at the bottom of the bay because I had a cheap one.
Well, yeah, that was you drinking from it, right? That wasn't really a deck line problem. That was
No, that was just a cheap
problem.
strap.
But yeah, I mean, you want to make sure all of your deck lines, everything you use on your boat is in good shape. There's nothing that can break. I do have, during this, I did find one line on the back of my seat that needs to be replaced. So after you do your deck, check your hatches, make sure your hatch seals still seal. If you have a neoprene one, those wear out a lot faster than the rubber that I have. Again, they stretch out. If you're storing those neoprene half covers on your boat over the winter, there's a good chance you probably will have to change them. Best thing for them is anytime you're not using your boat is to pull them off and put them in your hatches and then pull them back out when you need them. After I had the top, I started moving into the cockpit. And I'm sorry the lighting isn't great inside the cockpit, but it is, I don't have interior lights like some people do, Jeff. You're going to go through check your seat. Check the knee braces, check your seat back, make sure everything is fine. So right there, I found a thin spot. Now I'm going to talk about replacing that. It's a pretty simple operation there. I have a supplier of shock cord. I just simply call up, tell them how much I need. If I don't have any laying around, which I usually do, but you're simply going to tie, untie the old one or cut it out and then retie the new one. If you are replacing these, try to make sure you do the same knot that was on there. Each one has a different knot that they use. Pull on all of your levers. Make sure everything moves up and down. Again, you don't want to get to the lake and find out that your seat doesn't sit upright, or that it's popped off of one of the hinges. Foot braces should be checked for cracks. If you're somebody who really puts weight on your foot braces, you really want to kind of check those over. Again, finding out when you go to use it that it's broken isn't the best time. And so that was it for my videos. As far as UV protectant, 303 UV protectant is a good one. I think REI still sells that, right, Jeff?
I've got coming up for you right here.
What did you call it?
The tube that we sell are the 303, which you can get pretty much anywhere. Or I prefer the UV. It used to be Revivex by Gearaid.
Hold it, put that back. Oh, there we go. Okay, great.
That's the one I use most of the time.
The other two I had access to is the Hobie Kayak UV protectant, and actually I just found out Armor All makes a kayak UV protectant, so which makes sense. They do it for cars, so they would probably do it for boats as well. And for shock cord and deck lining, I actually go to a guy in Georgia called boardparacord.com. It's spelled just like it sounds. He's pretty quick. They're a small company. They've got like a 2-day turnaround. And you just find out, you pick the size of your line and you just go on there and type it in, and he has a lot of options. He sells the high-vis deck lining, so it will shine in the night. Which, if you're going to use deck lining, I recommend it because it's just an extra little bit of light if you're night paddling. After that, really, we got to check your PFDs and paddles. Actually, I can do that now live if you guys want me to.
Sure.
Sure.
All right. Hold on one second.
As far as the lines, another good source, the shock cord REI carries. We have climbing cord, but you can probably do better to get the deck lines out of like go to Harmony Gear, or maybe even Austin Kayak.
Did you say Austin?
Yeah, they're an online website, Austin Kayak Supply, I think, or maybe austinkayak.com.
Got it. Thank
Another
you.
thing Evan talked about was cockpit seals. So I have all of my boats have a seal on them. It keeps the squirrels out. So, but they are size specific to the boat. So we can talk about that later on if you want to talk about how to size your boat up. Sorry, Evan, back to you.
No problem. Thank you for buying me time. So, paddles, which I keep in my house. So, we're going over paddles. First thing on obvious, you want to check your fit. Depending on how it fits, make sure your little button there still popped up loosely. Everything still fits. You can turn it. Your shaft is straight. There's no cracks, no wear down. If you have grip rings, check the elasticity. These are rubber. They will dry rot. They will crack. They will let water in. They're easy to replace. When you go through your blade, again, same thing. You're looking for cracks. You're looking for any kind of imperfections that can cause failure points. You know, if you're paddling in rocky areas and you're pushing off with your paddle, you can get a small crack and not notice it. So take your time, look it over, make sure there's nothing that's going to surprise you, and go down to the other side and do the same thing. You can feel with your hands a lot better than you can see with your eyes sometimes. So this one is, I don't know if you can actually see it there, kind of worn down right on this edge. Pretty good, which I just noticed. So that's one, you know, it's going to last a season. It's not going to have any problems. PFDs.
Hold on, Evan. I got two more things for the paddles.
All right.
It's okay to use the Revive X or the UV spray on the blades. I wouldn't put it on the handles or the grips because you're got hands on in there. Also, the ferrule where the paddles connect, keep that clean. If you get any dirt in there, it can make it really hard to take it apart later on. So don't store them together. And just always check that the ferrule's clean.
Wash them out. When you're looking at your PFD, you know, look at it, go over your straps pretty well. Everything, all this webbing on it should be in good shape, unfrayed. You don't want any buckles to be cracked at all. When you're going through, I mean, move it through, make sure that these still slide back and forth easily. Adjustments. You know, we get, this is an overhead one where you actually have to pull it over your body, so I loosen it up every time I put it on. If you have a zipper up one or a buckle one, a lot of times we simply get that to the size, zip it, unzip it, and leave it that way. So these little buckles don't get used as much as they should. And if you leave that tight all year long, you're going to put a crease in your webbing going through, and that'll wear, it'll wear through, it'll rip, and you won't know it until it actually does it. Remember, if I got to pull you out of the water, I'm pulling you by the shoulder straps. If they rip, I don't get you.
Hold on.
As far as making sure they still float, first off, if you have one, remember the color you bought it. If it's the same color as when you bought it, it doesn't have UV damage. If it's faded, so if you had a bright red one 2 years ago and all of a sudden it's pink, look into that. The fabric gets UV damage as it's fading. It becomes weaker. It can rip. You can lose flotation. To check flotation, easiest way to do it is actually you get a barrel of water, and I think it's a, Jeff, do you remember what the weight is of the bowling ball you would use?
No, I'm sorry.
Yeah, so you want to put probably about, I would say 20 pounds in it. Drop it in a barrel of water with the PFD and see if it floats or sinks. Obviously, a bowling ball doesn't weigh as much as people wearing it, but it does give you a good idea.
I usually just push it down by hand and see if it resists me.
Yeah, and that's a good way too. I mean, as long as you're getting resistance of it and it's trying to float, you're all right. If you have a lot of sweat, which I tend to, I mean, I have this on, I'm sweating, it's a hot day. Don't be afraid to wash them. You know, it's hand washing. Again, this is where Dawn dish detergent really works well. It doesn't hurt the fabric. You can spot wash. You can take it outside. You can, you know, have a little mixture, soak it down like you would your boat, hose it down, let it air dry. You do want to keep these clean. Sweat does just as much damage as sun. We wear these in the worst of conditions, and a lot of people forget that to take care of them. It's something simple, but it does help.
Yeah, I scrub mine a couple times a season to get the greases out of it and just to keep it from mildewing.
Yeah, I mean, if you worn a PFD that hasn't been cleaned, you know it. You know, they tend to hold an odor. Other than that, we have optional gear. Your paddle shoes, same thing. Look them over. Make sure they're still comfortable for you to wear. There's no holes in them. The soles, one piece, not flopping off. You know, it doesn't make a little mouth in your toe that talks. Not everybody, you don't have to have paddle shoes, but I like to have them. I like a closed toe shoe when I'm paddling because if I get out and stub my toe, it hurts. So I try not to do that. If you have a nice paddling hat, make sure that it doesn't rip.
You could use that now. Just
So this is
That's
my
more
Tilly hat.
impressive than a talking toe on a sandal shoe.
Yeah, this is my Tilly hat, and this is a perfect example of why you take
Wow.
care of your equipment. Because I've had this hat since 2012. It's my favorite hat, and last summer I went to wash it because I hadn't washed it in 2-3 years. And as soon as I pulled it out of the washer, this little guy happened. So Tilly said they would replace it. I just haven't gotten around to sending it back. I bought a new one. So
I thought that was just custom ventilation.
yeah, that's just.
Like a pocket.
This is why, had I taken care of it, it wouldn't have ripped and I wouldn't be out. They don't make this. They don't make this hat anymore. This is one of the original ones. So even if I send it back, I'm not getting this hat. I'm getting a replacement, and I'm kind of sad about that. That was a comfortable one. So it's been everywhere with me.
you could still wear it.
Oh, I could still wear it. It just doesn't quite have the same effect.
Duct tape. Duct tape it from the inside.
Tape it from the inside. Yeah. Oh, actually sent a picture to them on Twitter, and I was like, "How about will that be replaced?" And they said, "Yeah, absolutely. Just fill out the paperwork, send it back, and we'll get you a new one." And I asked, "Well, can I get
Seal on.
that one?" And they said, "No, we don't make that hat anymore." So
Hmm.
yeah, I've looked several ways. I found the size up and the size down from my head, but I couldn't find my size. So, that's about all I have.
You want to talk about stickers?
Stickers. Oh yes, I did, because if you notice, my sticker still says.
Yes, yours expired. I noticed.
But here's the kicker. I can't get a new one. I don't know if anybody else has tried, but I was told I'm on a wait list. So
Seriously?
Can anybody tell me how you do that? Because this is the first time
Yeah.
I have my own kayak.
it's the PA Fish and Boat Commission is where you can get them.
Okay.
And they have a
You can-
website.
I bet they do.
We can pull it up.
That's
You
okay.
can-
That's
You can also walk up at certain notary publics.
Yeah, if you go to Marsh
Like the one
Creek,
across.
you can get
There's one across from Ganchahoney Park, the boat launch here in Berks County. That you can just go in and walk in, and they'll sell you a boat launch ticket, a sticker.
PFBC.
So there's two different things you can do. You can do a registration or a launch permit.
Which should I do?
Did you pay tax on your boat? Do you have a receipt for that?
It was only $80 on Facebook.
Then you should do a launch permit.
Yeah, just
Okay.
So somewhere I have that. It's the same cost. It just, there it is, launch permit.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Evan, you want to explain the difference?
yeah. So a PA registration is a sticker. It lasts 2 years. It's up on the bow of your boat. It'll say 2 years from wherever the date they first get it to you. But yeah, you do have to have proof you paid tax. It is a proof of ownership of your boat. If your boat is ever stolen, you can send that. You can take that and you can to the cops and say, "This is my boat. Here's the serial number. Here's the whole ownership
Okay.
of that boat."
Well, I don't have that.
Yeah. So the only other benefit of that is if you paddle out of state a lot, this is hit and miss. It worked for me in Florida. It doesn't work in Delaware. That's honored.
Right, I
as a
do go
launch
to
permit.
Delaware.
Yeah, so that's honored as a launch permit in other states. So
Okay.
it's not just PA, it goes across the country because you have paid your dues. The PA Fish and Game launch permit, which is the yellow sticker, it sits in the center of your boat right in front of your cockpit. That can be 1 or 2 years. It costs the same price, but it
Okay.
is only good in PA. It is accepted as a Pennsylvania launch permit.
Okay.
So I actually use the launch permits now. I was using the registrations, but it doesn't really matter which one you pick. As long as you have one, you're fine.
So if I get the registration, do I still need the launch permit?
No, if
No,
you have
okay.
your registration, that is your launch permit.
Need one or the other.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
and
I
the other
have
one you can
2 of my
go
boats have
to.
launch permits and 2 have registrations.
Yeah.
The reason is I can show that I bought 2. I have proof of purchase of those, and I can say I paid the sales tax. The other 2 I did through private sale or Facebook and don't have any proof of purchase for them.
Right.
But I can use all the boats in Pennsylvania, and none of the nearby states require registration other than Pennsylvania.
The only
Now,
time
are they on back order because of the virus?
I don't know. I was just told when I went to order, they said there was a kind of a what did it tell me? My order was delayed, is what I was
The
told.
Fish and Game Commission, if you apply and pay for it, you can get a phone confirmation,
Yeah, you
and
can get
they
you can
will
print
accept that.
you can print your receipt.
Yeah.
But they won't. The sticker's kind of back ordered, I guess. I don't know
Hmm.
what they said it was, but yeah, I just said it was delayed.
And I
So it
think
actually
I
could be
saw
on its
on some of the, probably the Corps of Engineers site that they're accepting phone pictures of your launch permits, your temporary permits.
Yeah. So
That's a
they're
good idea.
working around it. It's
Yeah, they're doing the same thing for fishing licenses. You can get launch permits at any place that sells fishing licenses too.
For most people, the launch permit will do what you need. If you already paid the tax, then a registration doesn't hurt.
yeah. The registration just makes it so you don't have to think about it the registration is automatic. They'll send you the renewal form, so you really don't have to worry about it. They're just going to send you a paper about, I think they send it in January of each year, every other year, and they'll say it's time for you to renew. It's just like your car registration. The launch permit you have to do yourself. You have to keep track of it. Every year you have to buy a new one. But the only time it really helped me was when I was in Florida, because there was a launch permit need at the site I went out, on one of the sites I went out, and when they saw the PA registration, they said, oh, that's fine. That's what we want to see. So one case out of how many hundreds?
Right.
The only other difference is registration is replaceable because it's serialized and recorded. The launch permit is just, it's a sticker they issue you, and if you lose it, you're out of luck.
All right.
Is the launch permit only used for one time, or can you use it like go back?
It's all season.
Okay,
Yeah, they expire every December.
gotcha.
I got a 2-year one. 'Cause I got
Launch
a
permits are
3-year.
December, registrations are end of March.
Yeah.
And can you talk about how to fix cracks and scratches on the kayak?
Yeah. So fixing it, you either need to have the right type of plastic. It's ideal if you can match the color. Your manufacturers, I know Necky used to sell it. They're no longer out there. I haven't talked to Old Town about it. They would sell some plastic. I don't know if Dagger does or not. Wilderness Systems might. Just they're all one company. So you just need to find either donor boat or the extra plastic you need. Match the color as best you can. I shave it into as small pieces as possible, almost a powder. I'll have a heat gun, and I'll actually work the area that's scratched. I'll work that around with a heat gun a little bit. You want to get it not melted, just malleable. And then you kind of pour some of your plastic over top of the crack, and you kind of work it in. You just want it malleable enough that you can work the new plastics in. They'll kind of liquefy and come together. You never get it so hot that it starts to deform. You just want that outer edge. You want to work the outer edge of that crack. It does take a little skill, but I learned by practice. I had one of the boats that we used on a regular basis was worn through from somebody dragging it along the ground, and it was one that if we didn't fix it, it was going to have to be thrown away. So I actually learned on that boat, just kind of like, okay, let's just try it and see what happens. So it takes a little practice, but you can get it done.
You can find a lot of stuff on YouTube that shows, demonstrates it.
That's why I said I could do a demonstration on it. I could actually, there we go. This is why I have Jeff here. He's perfect. But yeah, I could do a demonstration video on it and show you. It's not tough. I've never used the rod. I'm pretty sure that would work just the same as welding, where you just feed it in as you go. I mean, quite possibly a hot glue gun could work for feeding if you had it in a rod way. I mean, I have thought about that, but
I've also heard of using laundry detergent bottles. I've never tried to repair my own, but I've heard of people doing that.
Yeah, I've also heard of milk bottles.
I don't know if it's the same material. I've never tried it. I feel they would be a little too thin. So
I've heard half-gallon and gallon milk bottles are the same material as the rotoform plastics. But
okay.
that was just a YouTube guy, so whether it's true or not, who knows?
Yeah,
It's all HDPE, right? Usually.
well, I mean, not every kayak's made out of the same material. I don't think I would try fixing something like some of the thinner ones, the two-piecers. That won't hold up as well.
Those are composite, and I don't know how to repair those. But the roto-molded ones, they're HDPE.
Okay. Yeah, it's just I've always just found I have a couple old boats. I'm not really worried about matching the color on some of them, so I'll take plastic off of the one boat I have. And actually, it's in my backyard. It's just a shell. So when I really need some plastic, I'll cut it off of there. And again, I almost use a cheese grater. I'll file it down and get a bunch of shreds, and then I'll work that into the area that I'm trying to repair.
The goal is to prevent that by using your UV spray and your plasticizers to keep it soft and flexible still.
Yeah, and not dragging your boat along the ground. If you're in a shallow bit of water, don't do the scoot and push to get yourself through it.
Stay away from the rocks.
Well, you can't always stay away from the rocks. They're part of paddling. You just gotta
like that.
not hit them dead square on. Bounce off of them. These boats are made for plastic boats are made for a little bit of abuse. They can bounce off a rock once in a while.
Well, what do you use that stuff as seen on TV stuff for?
That's for bulkhead room. When I have hatches and the bulkheads are foam blocks in between the hatches. That hold on 1 second. I can pull up.
I mean, if you can build a whole boat with it, can't you fill a crack?
You wouldn't want to use caulk. You wouldn't want to use caulk as your you wouldn't want to use caulking as your
okay
replacement.
If you buy the real stuff, it's expensive.
Yeah.
Huh, there we go.
And it's also not really strong, so think.
So Perception is part of the Confluence Group, and they do Perception, Dagger, Wilderness Systems. I think Ocean Kayak also. So any of the repairs work for most of their boats, and any rotomotive boat will be the same.
This Lexel stuff is great for the cock. I don't know if you can see it.
Trying to find. I thought I had actually done. I did kind of. I had a bad spot in my hatch that I did repair, but it doesn't seem to be coming up.
That's okay. Thank you.
Yeah. But yeah, it's all you do is you clean. You're gonna see where your hatch is split. Make sure it's clean. Make sure it's in the right spot, and then you just run a simple bead of caulking down either side of it. You want an
Okay.
adhesive caulk, something that is going to be sticky, not just a waterproofer. So what you would use in your shower isn't the same as what you would use in your boat. You want to make sure that it's going to have an adhesive tendency to it. That's kind of why I chose the Flex Shot, because the guy sold it as it sticks, it seals, it's waterproof, it lasts for a long time.
Right.
When you're doing that though, remember you want air travel between the hatch and your cockpit.
Right.
If you make it airtight, when you go to push down on your hatch cover, it's just going to pull out again. So they're supposed to be water resistant. They're not watertight. If you make them watertight, then you're going to end up busting another seam.
When I sell a boat, I always tell my customers to never trust the seals to put anything valuable in a dry bag, because they will just, from putting them on the car racks, from transporting them, those seals will start to leak.
Thank you.
Can you talk about how to measure the opening for the cover? Jeff, I think you mentioned that.
Yeah,
Yeah, give me a minute, I can pull up a website here and then I'll show it to you.
I just found my busted hatch.
Oh.
So I don't know if you can see in there. I kind of tried to light it up.
Let me stop.
So that's where my hatch kind of popped towards the inside of my cockpit. If you see my mouse, can you see my mouse?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that right there, that line right there is actually where water would be pouring through. And all you're gonna do is you're gonna clean that area, peel off any excess, any caulking that was there, and then push it back in place, make sure it's in the right spot, and then you're gonna run your bead. So yeah, that was one that happened last year and I didn't take care of it before I stowed it away. So that's as simple as it can be. I don't know if I did the other side of it or not. No. Okay.
When I go to size stuff, I always just go right to seal skirts and pick your boat. So what's your boat? What was the boat you want to size for?
Hold on one second. Let me find it. Let's see. Do I have it? Here. It's a sound.
So that's made by Perception or
Oh,
Ely?
it's a Ely. It's a Ely. ELIE Sound 100X.
All right. So that's got a pretty big cockpit.
It does. Yeah.
So that's going to be a 5.2.
Okay.
And you can either buy it from Seals or I'm sure Aria has it too.
Thank you.
Yep, we got it. Well, that's not the cockpit seal. There it is. $40 for the 5 point. Nope. Sorry, 2.5. Looks like we don't carry the 5.2 at REI.
All right.
You search around for a 5.2 cockpit cover, like Austin Kayak or actually those are the only two I really use. So it's out there. You probably get restriction seals too.
Lancaster County Marine has a really good selection of seals.
Thank you, Buster. I've never been down there.
What's that called? What store?
Lancaster County Marine.
Oh,
It's
okay.
on 272, just north of Lancaster, right near Akron area.
Thank you.
Thank you. I gotta go walk the dog.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
All right. Hey, Jake got his camera working.
Yeah, it took a little while. My wife had to use the real webcam for her business Zoom meeting.
Oh gosh, damn businesses. Doesn't she know it's like after 5 o'clock? It's time to play.
It's always 5 o'clock somewhere.
Correct.
Especially for someone like Mike who is retired now.
I'm going to stop the recording and the Facebook stream so we can just do the social part now.
Yeah, that sounds
All right.
good.